Are you feeling lost in life? This is why you can't find your purpose yet. If you've been feeling lost lately, like no matter what you try and you still don't know what you're meant to do, then this video is for you. Believe me, I have spent many years of my life feeling lost and as if I don't have my purpose, and because of all those years, now I know the solutions as to how to get out of this lost place and why we get in it in the first place. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to present two reasons for you as to how we get lost, and I'm going to present two solutions as to how we can find our purpose from this place of lostness. Stick around to find out which your favorite is going to be. So the first reason that I found personally in my life that I was getting lost was because I wasn't necessarily listening to the internal feelings and the internal guidance and navigation system that I had, but rather I was relying externally on the environment I was in or the people I was with to validate my path and to let me know what decisions and behaviors were right or wrong. So for example, like when I was living in high school, I was sort of a soccer player and I'm quite a sensitive person, so I have an ability to really empathize with the feelings of those around me. And what happened in high school was, in order to fit in with the crowd, the typical people that were existing within that school, many of them were sort of hardened, tough, jock-like athletes who were sort of rough around the edges and tough. And so in order to sort of be social with them, I had to let go of my sensitivity and I had to let go of my creativity in a lot of ways, and basically like mold myself into the version of me that was best suited to fit in with that group specifically. It's difficult because like we do have to participate in society and it is important for us to socialize with people around us, but what I encourage you to try and do is to hang out with people that you feel safe to express your true authentic self with. And when we're not doing that, then these parts of ourselves that are valid and that do belong in us for very specific reasons, they sort of get suppressed and they get repressed and they get shoved away and put in the back corner, and maybe they aren't appreciated as much as they possibly could be. And this doesn't serve us because a lot of the good feelings that we get in our life actually come from these parts of ourselves. So when we say, I'm not going to play music because I don't want to be seen as sensitive, we're missing out on the joy that we would receive from exploring and expressing music creatively. So that is definitely a big reason why we get lost in our modern society. And one of the biggest solutions is to not only find people around you that you can authentically express yourself with, but also you can do this alone when you're in your room or when you're out in nature or when you're playing a sport you enjoy, or whatever it is that your passions are. Finding time regularly to be the most authentic self you can be with yourself, that will really help you figure out who you are and help you to find the feelings that will guide you to your highest, most potential filled path, rather than feeling lost and suppressed and small and as if you have to dim your light to fit in. So the second reason why I have personally gotten lost in my life, and you might relate to this as well, is basically we haven't actually explored who we are well enough yet. So, like there's certain things out there, there's certain passions or there's certain desires that you may have that you want to explore in your life. But a lot of times we put those on the back burner and we say, I'm going to focus on my career, my relationships, or whatever else it is. And we don't get back to those things. I mean, I've worked with a lot of mentors, and so often I ask them, I'm like, what is the one thing that you would do if you could go back and be my age? And so many of them say like, oh, I regret that I never traveled, or I regret that I never picked up the guitar, or I regret that I never ran a marathon or something like that. And so basically, a lot of times our personal needs get pushed aside for the needs of the society that is around us. And so we do have a tendency to forget who we actually are, and we become a version of ourselves that is only partially who we are. Basically, my belief and opinion is that we are multi-dimensional beings who have many different parts of ourselves, many different skills, and many different assets. And so many of these parts are beneficial and have purposes and uses in our life. So if you look at a forest, for example, like what makes a forest so beautiful isn't the fact that it's all one species of a biological organism, but it's the fact that it's all of these species coming together to form this collective big organism, and that functions more efficiently or effectively. So, if you didn't have all of the leaves deteriorating and breaking down into the soil, that wouldn't fertilize the soil so that there, aren't the nutrients for the next round of growth that's going to take place. So everything is cyclical, and ourselves, our beings, are also cyclical in nature, and each and every component of us does play a valid reason. So let's say you're in your career and you're in a position that might make you inclined to succeed because of creative endeavors. So you have a manager above you, and often you'll be in business meetings, and it's like, okay, what creative ideas do you have as to how the business can grow? But you forgot how to be creative. You've never exercised your creativity muscle. That actually is limiting your ability to expand your career and to grow into your career and into your relationships. So all of these parts of us are actually important and do serve a purpose. And in order to basically develop them, they have to be used and they have to be directly experienced. So the key is to basically spend time with yourself, learning about who you are, and when you invest in yourself, that will positively influence all the things that you do externally. But if you go out into the world and you try and succeed without knowing who and what you actually are, then you're not going to be very good at driving the vehicle that is your personality to the destination that you want to go, right? So it's really important, in order for you to succeed into getting the life you want and to getting the places you want to go to, you have to know who you are and what you need in order to get to those places. So my recommendation for you is to spend lots of time exploring who you are and what your personal needs are, and understand that the more that you bring yourself back into wholeness, you integrate all the unique parts of yourself that you desire to explore, then the more your life will develop and grow into this beautiful orchestra of experience, and it'll just fill you with a lot of fulfillment. I guess one of the main reasons why we feel lost is because we don't have things that fill us with purpose, because a lot of the external things that we do aren't for that purpose, aren't for that reason. They're not for us and our purpose. So it's important to spend time doing things specifically dedicated to giving you a greater sense of joy and fulfillment and happiness, and that is what will alleviate the feelings of lostness. It's like you're basically giving ointment to those negative feelings through positive emotions and positive experiences, and positive version of yourself, seeing yourself in a whole new way with all these new gifts coming online. So now that we've discussed different ways that you can overcome feeling lost, or what to do when you're in these situations and why it happens in the first place, the next piece is to how to actually find your purpose. And I touched on this a little bit, but I want to go a little bit deeper into it and say that the main driving force, or the main navigating factor that you can use to get you to live your highest purpose, your highest potential, the path that will lead you with the most fulfillment, is to follow your feelings. What your feelings are basically a sensation from your body that is giving you specific information that will tell you whether the things around you are right or wrong for you. So when it comes to eating food, for example, you might go to a buffet and there's a variety of different options that you could possibly choose from. The best way to determine what food will serve your body's needs best in that moment is to ask it and to listen to it. So you might say, okay, here's this whole smorgasbord. What foods should I be eating in this moment? And you'll feel a craving for maybe something salty, or maybe something sugary, or maybe you haven't had a lot of nutrients recently, and so you go directly to the salad bar. And it might be difficult for our minds to comprehend this and say, oh, even though I'm craving salty food isn't good for me for whatever reason, I shouldn't have that. But in reality, it's like maybe you did a sauna yesterday and you depleted a lot of your electrolytes, and so salty food is actually what your body needs to receive the nourishment to replenish itself in a proper way. But if we don't listen to our feelings and we listen to our mind and what we think we know is best, then you can run into scenarios where you aren't meeting the needs of what your body is asking for. So this doesn't just apply biologically, it also applies emotionally. You can basically walk into a room and determine, okay, there's a group of people on my left and a group of people on my right. Where should I go? Should I go to the left or should I go to the right? I know somebody here, I know somebody there. Who do I talk to first? If you once again ask your feelings and you sort of sense into your internal navigation system, oftentimes you'll get a response that will say left or right. And so this for me, if you look at human design, I'm a manifesting generator, so I can't guarantee that this will work for every category of person. But if you do resonate with this, then you're probably somebody who has a similar vehicle to the one that I'm driving. And yeah, you basically, your body will tell you whether or not you should go in one direction or the other. And let's say you're in a conversation and you're really enjoying the conversation, it's really stimulating, it's filling you up with joy. That's a great sign that you have found your purpose in this moment. Moment to moment purpose is a really beautiful thing. So anyway, if you found that joy, then that's a great opportunity to continue with the conversation and continue with those good feelings. But eventually you might reach a point in the conversation where you're running out of things to talk about. Maybe the topic of conversation isn't as stimulating for you anymore, and that could be a really great sign for you to move on to something else. The more that we listen to our feelings, the more that we're basically attuning to the specific energy that we actually are as a consciousness, learning more about who we are and what we need, and trusting that our soul chose to come here for a specific reason and has a desired outcome for our life. And if we listen to it and follow the feelings that are guiding us towards that joy and that purpose and that fulfillment, then we are likely to succeed in finding what it is that we're looking for through this human experience. But if we constantly neglect those feelings and we do what our mind thinks is right, rather than maybe playing it safe, rather than what would actually fill us with joy and contentment, then we can run into all sorts of problems. And this is where a lot of our lost feelings come from in our society, is so many of us have basically adhered to societal standards and structures that aren't necessarily built for human fulfillment, but are built for making money or building progress or control, basically to prevent people from being uncomfortable or prevent them from feeling fear. So anyway, if you want to find purpose in life, using your feelings as a navigation system to guide you towards things that will fill you with purpose and joy, that can be a really amazing place to start. So the final tip that I can give you as to how you can find your purpose in life actually sort of plays devil's advocate to the last tip that I just gave you. So in the previous one, I talked all about how you should use your feelings as navigation systems, but what I did not cover was sometimes the negative feelings that we have maybe have to be overcome or have to be worked through. So let's say that you have a desire in your life, a part of you wants to, let's say, do public speaking because you feel that what you have to say is important, you feel that there's a lot of value in what you have to share, and so you would really love to share some of that wisdom with the world and be seen for the beautiful, intelligent person that you are. But you're scared of public speaking because you're scared of the vulnerability, you're scared of embarrassment if something goes wrong, you're scared of what other people might think of you. And so this is when we're sort of getting into the subtleties of following your feelings, because if you really tune in and listen to what it is you're desiring most, you can see that the desire for public speaking is a sort of good desire. It's a desire that will leave you with fulfillment. But if you listen to the fear that's saying don't do this because of this, this, and that, you're not trying to build something positive, you're trying to run away from something negative. So, what we have to do when it comes to listen to our feelings and listening to our internal guidance system is sort of really tune in and determine what the source of the feeling is and go from that place. Listen to that internal feelings. And of course, you're never going to do this perfectly and you're not going to be amazing at it in the beginning. But every single time you do listen to your feelings in a positive way, you're reinforcing that behavior, you're strengthening your ability to do so, and it will become easier and something you get better at in the long run. But you just have to remember as well, what is it behind the feeling? What is the motivation or the intent towards this action that you're either moving towards or you're avoiding? So if we want to listen to our feelings best, then you're going to have to overcome some of these maybe negative feelings that stand in the way of you reaching your greatest potential. And the reason why a lot of these feelings are there in the first place is you might have a part of you that used these negative feelings as a protection mechanism to help you in the past. So, you know, you're a child, you're not necessarily capable of creating a safe space for yourself or holding your integrity or authority. You are sort of at the liberty of the emotions of people around you. And so you might have learned that fear keeps you from unsafe environments. And so now you continue to have fear bubble up anytime you think that you're going into an unsafe environment. But you might realize that like public speaking actually can be a safe environment, and you have to get over the belief that it isn't. Right? So, yeah, it's basically like you really have to sort of tune into the different feelings you're having and learn from each one specifically its nuances and what it's trying to do for you, and whether or not that feeling is serving you and it's coming from a good place, or if that's an old pattern and an old feeling from a past version of yourself that can sort of be, let's say, integrated so that it serves you and it does help you rather than interfere with you living your life's purpose. So thank you all so much for watching. It's been an absolute pleasure to film and to be in this space with you and share some of this wisdom about purpose and lostness. And remember that wherever you are, nothing in this life is permanent. There is light at the end of the tunnel. You can end up in a place where you are just so filled with purpose and happiness. And the keys are just to listen to your own feelings, follow your own internal guidance system, and give yourself the space and the environments you need to really flourish and integrate all parts of yourself. If you're interested in learning more about this, I have all sorts of different videos on empowerment and wellness and holistic health, so you can check out any of those in the links below. And also, if you're interested in working with me one-on-one to reprogram some of your limiting beliefs and deal with some emotions that are maybe standing in the way of your success, I have all sorts of services available for that and coaching programs that you can also find on my website or in the link below. Thank you all so much. I hope that you believe in yourself today, and we'll catch you in the next video.